Now we come to another very important ancient Indian Upanishad called SKANDOPANISHAD. It speaks about the real nature of self and about the real nature of knowledge. What is real knowledge? Who are we actually? So the underlying philosophy is the same. One thing we have to remember is that all these Upanishads were written 3000 years ago, that is 1000 years before Christ. And it is very interesting to study about the underlying ideas which are almost the same. So this we have to study. How do all these different sages and prophets speak of the same ideas? How do they express the same philosophy? How do all the holy books speak about the same aspects about salvation? These are very interesting thoughts, and we have to explore the intertextuality concept in detail so as to get an answer for this. Anyway, let us come to the important ideas expressed in SKANDOPANISHAD. The first stanza itself states very clearly that it is by the mercy of Mahadeva or Almighty God that one becomes enlightened and equal to Shiva. The Bible speaks about the grace of God. It is only by the grace of God that we get salvation or moksha. So same idea is expressed here. How does one become enlightened? The Mahadeva, the Almighty, the Parameshwar has to select somebody to be enlightened. His inspiration has to dawn upon someone to become an enlightened soul. All the following stanzas, they emphasize the oneness of the soul and show the ephemeral nature of the human body and everything in this world. So we know that the Maya concept is very well explained not only in Hinduism, in almost all the religions, religious philosophies, ideologies. We find that the whole world is described as just as a mere illusion. So the Maya concept is there. The ephemeral nature is stressed in this Upanishad also. But what is ultimate? The ultimate truth is God alone. Sa eva jyotisham jyoti. Sa eva parameshwaraha. Sa eva hi param brahma tat brahmaham na samshayam. One who is able to perceive the eternity of the soul derives full understanding about the divine. He realizes that he himself is Parameshwara or Parabrahma and eternal light. All the stanzas that follow, they stress this point about the oneness of the soul. So life is Shiva, Shiva is life. As the rice grain, there is a beautiful image here, as the rice grain is inside the husk, so is our soul, well protected. When the husk is removed, the grain shines. Similarly, life shows the real nature of Shiva when it is freed from the body, and one who is at soul from all sins becomes Shiva himself. Another point that is stressed is here that Shiva and Vishnu are one and the same. So we have different names for God. How many names shall we name our God? This is what I ask in one of my poems. How many names shall we name our God before we all acclaim Him the Lord? That is the line from that poem. So we have so many names for gods. But what is the essence? Shiva and Vishnu are the one and the same. In the heart of Shiva, Vishnu resides, and vice versa. As there is no difference at all among Shiva and Vishnu, our body remains as the temple of God. So, in our body alone does God abide. Life also remains as a temple of God. Life remains in the form of Shiva itself or himself. When the veil of ignorance is removed, it displays its divinity. Real knowledge is, so what is, here we get the answer to real knowledge. What is real knowledge? Real knowledge is to understand everything without Dvaita Bhava or duality. That is absolute knowledge. When you do away with duality, you can say you have attained knowledge. This is the real tapas or prayer or contemplation. Removal of all evils from the heart is the real snana. This is the real baptism. What is baptism? It is not just mere showering of water upon somebody. The real snana is removal of all evils from the heart, and absolute self-control is the total purification. The 12th stanza is very famous. That gives a very important idea. Brahmamridam pibe Haikshamajare deharakshane Vased egandige putva Chaigande dvaida varjide Ityevam ajare dhiman Sa evam mukti mapnuyat. Who gains moksha or salvation? He who attains moksha is one who drinks the amrita called Brahma Vidya. Brahmamridam pibe. He attains moksha when he drinks amrita or the eternal drink called Brahma Vidya. And such a one begs for bread so as to sustain his body. One who understands that he is God himself or he is part of God himself, then he forgets all about the worldly races, the mad races, and he even goes to that extent of begging for his bread. He begs for bread so as to sustain his body. Haichamajaret deharakshane. To protect your body, you beg for your bread. He abandons all evil feelings and remains in isolation. Vased edandige putva. He remains alone in contemplation. And the last stanza also makes it very clear that the real devotees are who are able to see the original nature of Vishnu just as clear as the day. And then he becomes one with Brahma. That is the ultimate end of life.